sometime in the late 90s, I came up with an experiment where I created an artificial jet stream, and I just made some really fast moving air in a stream a certain distance above the ground, certain angles. You have to set up some things right, but other than that, it's static. You can do it in an empty garage. I've done it in my living room many a times. And there's an area where this stream of air starts, so there's some rapid acceleration of the air, but then it's just a blowing stream of air, very fast moving above the ground. And then I put some dry ice fog to make the air visible, and what it ends up doing is that you'll see the dry ice fog will fill up the ground. Then you'll see an area of rotation start, and you'll see it conserve, tighten. It'll pull towards a certain area underneath this artificial jet stream, as I like to call it, and it'll spin up a suction vortex. Well, when it spins up that suction vortex, it does some interesting things that some tornadoes do in real life, similar things. It doesn't do everything, but this is just from one of the times I actually recorded it and went over the footage in slow motion back and forth. It creates a horizontal vortex that wraps around the circulation and rides up. At one point, it creates sub-vortices within the main circulation. A couple times it creates a single sub-vortex inside the main circulation. Obviously these are spinning very fast, a lot faster than the main circulation. It'll tighten it up, and it'll spin up a real pretty nice looking suction vortex. But there's a time where you see the dry ice fog shows some air that's traveling more rapidly than normal enter into the circulation, and that's when it'll spin up a suction vortex. It also at a point produced a satellite suction vortex that joined the main circulation. It did some other kind of octopus arm looking things that I have on the video, and it's pretty neat. And it has like a cycle of organizing and then unorganizing, and then it has where it does like a nice suction vortex, and then it'll fall apart, and it does it over and over again. But in that process, it did some things like a tornado does in real life, and I believe gave me some insight, which I have on another video, of things that are going on, because I say that it's similar. The process that creates the thunderstorm, the supercell, the mesocyclone, all the atmospheric conditions, obviously that's different. You can't reproduce that in your living room or even in a garage or a warehouse. But what happens below the mesocyclone, apart from the condensation, I'd say, of course, it's at a different scale level, and it's smaller, weights and different things are less, but I propose that it behaves very similarly, and that's why it had the multiple vortexes. It had some horizontal vortexes, satellite, octopus arm looking things. The cycle was pretty neat. So it did some similar things, and I did that first in the late 90s, and then I did it here and there, and I did it recently at the beginning of this fall and documented it. So that's what I did. I created an artificial jet stream, and what do you know? It created an area of low pressure above the ground, and it created a suction vortex similar to a tornado, and it's pretty cool. So I have I'm doing a lot with that. I'm going to do more. I have a lot of thoughts that I haven't shared and things I've seen. I have another totally different experiment that appears to me could account for a stabilization of the mesocyclone when there's a tornado, and allow it to that will allow long track tornadoes to happen. And that's just a theory, and what I'm trying to do, honestly, is I'm trying to knock it down, because that's what I've learned. You got to try to knock it down to see if it'll stand. I mean, you really got to try. And I've started to do that, and I've seen this experiment. I've seen what it would look like in real life played out on radar. And so I got to go from there and study some more radar images and things, and see what I can find. And I really got to try to knock it down to see if it can really stand. But it's another theory I have, and another experiment that could account for, because I believe it behaves similarly in real life according to the laws of physics, even on the larger scale. So just wanted to put this video out. I started that in the late 90s. I did it here recently. I had a conversation and shared all this information with some renowned storm chaser researchers. So if you ever see anybody else doing it, I was the first one to do it. And plus I know how to set it up and all kinds of different things like that. And there's a lot more to it. So hope to have a better formal presentation of it and put it on YouTube coming soon. Later.